Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, and welcome to your Hunting Horn Weapon Workshop for Monster Hunter Rise. Weapon Workshops are our definitive guides to all the weapons, going over everything you could possibly want to know, starting with the basic behavior and moves, all the way up to the lesser known techniques, recommended combos, armor skills, combat strategies, and more. Essentially, everything you could possibly need to know about your chosen weapon, so that you can confidently take down whatever monster stands in your way.
You're done for!
If you guys do enjoy this video and you do find it helpful, a like would be super appreciated. A ton of work and research goes into each and every one of these videos, so if you like them, let me know down below and share them with your friends if they're trying to pick up a new weapon. You can also find a link to the full playlist down below. We'll be covering all 14 weapons, so keep it locked and we'll update that as we go. Now, let's talk about the Hunting Horn. This has, for a very long time, been one of the best weapons that you're probably not using. A weapon that is both capable of dealing devastating impact damage to knock out monsters, all whilst simultaneously letting you buff your team with funky beats. On the surface, that results in many people putting this weapon in the support camp, a weapon for those looking to buff their team, not do damage, like a bard. But oh how wrong you are. The Hunting Horn does both, and thanks to some fantastic changes in Monster Hunter Rise, it is now easier than ever to pick up this weapon and destroy anything that stands in your way, all whilst styling on the monster. The Hunting Horn is, despite appearances, a relatively simple weapon to pick up. Much like its less musically gifted impact brother, the hammer, the Hunting Horn has a pretty simple moveset. What often puts people off with this weapon is the buffing aspect. See, one thing you need to understand about the Hunting Horn, before we speak specifically about your available moves, is the musical component to the weapon. At the top of the screen you have a music stave, and anytime you perform attacks, notes are added to this stave. Each input results in different notes. X is blue, A is red, and X plus A is green. Queuing up the correct selection of notes will then result in your songs being played, which in turn buff both you and your team. Attack, defense, earplugs, elemental resistance, and more. The list is pretty broad of available buffs, and every horn is different and has a different list of available songs. In fact, you can see the complete list of available buffs in the Hunter notes, and when you're crafting a weapon, you can find out what songs are available over here on the right. One song that every horn does have, however, is Self-Improvement. Unlike the other songs, this one is personal to you, and playing it will increase your movement speed and give you mind's eye on your attacks so that they don't bounce if you're hitting hard parts on the monster. This is a song you want to keep active at all times, but thankfully in Monster Hunter Rise that's as simple as pressing ZR, so make sure you're doing this before you go into any encounter. Furthermore, in Monster Hunter Rise, the entire song and buffing system has been simplified, which makes picking up this weapon even easier than ever. See, in the past, songs would be comprised of a combination of different notes, which come from different inputs, and then upon lining them up correctly, you would play the song. But in Rise, songs are now grouped by the same note type, and depending on the switch skill you select, the process of playing the song is also infinitely more straightforward. We'll touch on specific switch skills in a moment, but to give you a broad overview, Hunting Horn can either be played in Performance Mode, which I like to call Battle Mode, or Echo Mode, which I like to call Old School Mode. Battle Mode allows you to play songs while attacking by simply playing the same note twice, like so. Meanwhile, Echo Mode allows you to queue up songs on the stave and manually play them using the recital. Again, I'll be going over this in more detail in just a moment. For now, just so you have a top level understanding, using this weapon allows you to both attack and buff at the same time. Additionally, Rise has added a couple more moves, the Magnificent Trio and the Infernal Melody. The Magnificent Trio allows you to play all your songs simultaneously in a damaging combo, and the Infernal Melody is a meter that builds over time whilst attacking, and when played affords you access to an even more powerful buff. So, long story short, whether you use battle style or old school style, the Hunting Horn is a great weapon from both a damage point of view and also a support point of view too. It's not nearly as complicated as you might first think, and it's without question a weapon you should consider checking out. Now, before we dive in and cover all of your available moves, it's first important to talk about your available switch skills, since these will alter your combos and your playstyle. Switch skills are a new mechanic in Monster Hunter Rise that allow you to swap out select moves and silk binds for your weapon to create your own personalised hunting style. Each weapon has 3 slots, and each slot has 2 skills to choose from. There is no right or wrong choice here, however, some skills do align better with certain playstyles, so it's important to understand their uses. I'll be offering some suggestions a little bit later on in this video, but for now, let's go over the options. For Hunting Horn, the first slot revolves around your forward X plus A attack, which by default is the overhead smash. This is a mighty attack that swings the Hunting Horn down from above. It's a great move at exhausting the target, plus it does a ton of damage. It is one of your stronger hits with this weapon. Alternatively, you have Melodic Slap, which I just love the name for, but this changes that forward overhead smash into a motion that swings much wider and generates a sonic smash. It has considerably less damage output, but the stun value on this move is fantastic. So if you're focused more so on KO, maybe you're running a Slugger and Partbreaker build, then this move certainly has value. For your second slot, this is the one that changes your fundamental Hunting Horn playstyle. By default, you have the new Performance mode, which, as I mentioned earlier, I like to call Battle mode. When in this mode, playing 2 of the same notes consecutively will see the song automatically played. You do not need to manually trigger a recital. You do still have your recital move, which applies self-improvement and also, very important, has iframes, but that's as far as it goes. It's not for playing notes on the stave, since they're done by attacking. This mode is all about attack and forget. Your buffs will happen as you go. Meanwhile, the alternate mode, Echo mode, is your old school style, at least, comparatively so. Not quite the same, but essentially in this mode, you have to press ZR to play the notes queued up on your stave. You do still have access to the Magnificent Trio, but if you want a little bit more manual control, this is for you. In this mode, you simply need to play one note on the stave, then you can recite it, and you'll apply the buff. When paired with Horn Maestro, the armor skill, this is slightly faster when it comes to reciting songs, so this style can be useful if you want to lean maybe slightly more heavily into the support side of playing. Then finally, your last slot is your Silk Bind move. The default option is Earthshaker. This is an incredibly powerful move. It costs 2 wire bugs, and it drives an Iron Silk Bound blade into the target like a stake, and when it hits, the vibrations from the Hunting Horn's Sonic Blast explode inside the target. This move is one of your most damaging, so if you want to hit for big numbers, this is a great choice. Alternatively, you have Bead of Resonance, which places a wire bug cocoon on the ground. Following this, anytime you generate a melody effect, the effect also appears around the cocoon, as does a sonic wave, which also does damage to the monsters. What this effectively means is that your songs can be played twice, and while for lingering buffs, things like attack boost, defense boost, etc., this doesn't really provide much value, where this does excel is for single-use songs, for example healing songs. Playing a healing song with Bead of Resonance will see it played twice, thus doubling up the effectiveness of the heal. So in that respect, you could liken this to encoring a song, to a degree. Not quite the same thing, but it's close. Furthermore, one really important thing about this move is that if you perform a recital and the bead is deployed, you will also trigger attack up, even if your horn does not have that song available. So in essence, this allows you to give any horn attack up, which is huge. Of course, damage-wise, it's not really comparable to the Earthshaker, even if you do factor in the sonic waves, so I'd look at this move more so if you want to delve into the support side of this weapon. But, as you can see, you have a decent number of options to choose from for a few different playstyles. Again, I'll offer my personal recommendations a little bit later, but those are your available switch skill options. Starting off with your weapon sheathed, pressing forward and X will see you draw into holding your hunting horn on your shoulder. Unlike most other weapons, this doesn't actually draw into an attack, but this is for a very particular reason. Since your different attacks result in different notes, drawing into simply holding the horn allows you to then essentially draw into your chosen attack. You can very quickly go unsheath and then press your desired button, effectively allowing you to draw into that attack, and by extension, the note that you desire. This also applies for attacks done from the air too, whether that be from a wire bug or jumping off a ledge, allowing you again to draw into an aerial note of your choosing. Alternatively, pressing ZR while your weapon is sheathed draws straight into the recital, which as mentioned a moment ago, will play your self-improvement song, and if you're in Echo mode, aka old school mode, this will also play any notes that are queued up on your stave. Now to speak a bit more about this recital move for a moment, naturally with your weapon drawn, this will also trigger the move, pressing ZR. Now, depending on the switch skill you have selected, your performance recital looks like this, meanwhile your echo recital looks like this. Damage-wise, they hit for identical numbers. However, in performance mode, aka battle mode, this move also has iframes, so you can quite literally use this to avoid taking damage from some attacks, and it's got a pretty generous window. Furthermore, since this hits multiple times, it's also a very good move at building the Infernal Melody meter, so as you'll see later, this will factor into one of your core combos. Now, moving on from there to some of your core attacks, pressing X 3 times will result in a left swing, a multi-crush, and a forward smash. This is your standard X combo. Pressing forward and X will allow you to go directly into the forward smash, which can then also be combined with the above combo to loop indefinitely. Alternatively, pressing A 2 times will perform the right swing followed by the crush, and like with X, pressing forward and A allows you to go directly into that second move, the crush. You can also mix these two together for a basic stationary combo, going from A to X on repeats. This is quite good since it hits low, so if the monster is down, it's a decent way to wail on its head. Then finally, for your third note attacks, you have 2 consecutive X plus A inputs. This leads to a backward strike and a nice new double swing animation, which looks fantastic and of course hits a couple of times. It's also worth noting, from your standard attacks, the backward strike is your strongest single hit with the Hunting Horn, not including Silkbind attacks. So this move is very powerful, and we'll touch on a technique later on for using this more effectively. You can also press forward and X plus A for the overhead smash by default. This, again, as mentioned, is another strong attack with great exhaust potential, and it hits very hard. You can also loop this into a combo by going forward X plus A, X plus A, X plus A. This will go from an overhead smash into a double swing, into another overhead smash, and this can be looped indefinitely. Alternatively, if you have Melodic Slap, the other switch skill equipped, then instead forward and X plus A will perform the Melodic Slap. Again, as a reminder, this is not as powerful, but it does have incredible stun potential, so if KO was your focus, this can be a good choice. And similarly, that same combo input from before instead allows you to loop Melodic Slap and the double swing. It's also worth noting in both of these situations, irrespective of whether you are using overhead smash or melodic slap, the second move that follows, the double swing, you can actually change the direction in which the swing happens. By default, it swings like this, but if you push the opposite direction with your analog stick, you can change that, which is handy if the monster changes position. Now, if we combine some of these moves together, you have a pretty strong forward moving combo with forward and X, X plus A, and then X plus A. Meanwhile, if you want a nice quick combo, something that can play your notes very fast so that you can get the all-important Magnificent Trio, then forward X plus A, X will see you follow an overhead smash with a quick kick up, which adds a note, ending in the multi-crush. Damage-wise, this isn't as high, but this is one very quick way to get all 3 notes lined up, which then leads to the all-important Magnificent Trio. See, new in Monster Hunter Rise is a move called the Magnificent Trio. By inputting one of each note on the stave in any order, they don't even need to be sequential, you'll then see this button input pop up over here. When this input becomes available, pressing ZR plus X will perform this attack animation. It hits multiple times throughout, and at the end, it plays all your songs in one. So instead of having to play them as you attack, or play notes and recite them, you can just very easily line up a quick combo, pull off the Magnificent Trio, and you and your team are all now fully buffed with every available song on your Hunting Horn. Additionally, as an extension to this, you also have the Infernal Melody. This meter over here on the left fills up when you attack. Some attacks build this faster, things like the Recital or your Silkbind slide beat move, but once this is maxed out, pressing ZR at the end of a Magnificent Trio will perform this spin attack. It hits multiple times, but also triggers your powerful buff, the Song of the Raging Flame, which boosts your attack considerably for a short period of time. With this in mind, you can then combo to this in a number of different ways. We have the fast combo I mentioned earlier, or you can do something more like A, X, X plus A, straight into ZR plus X. The beauty of the Hunting Horn is that a lot of the attacks can be woven into one another since it's all about playing the notes as you attack. That being said, there are still some combos that are better than others, and we'll touch on them shortly. Something else very important I want to cover is a technique known as Q-taps, or Quick Turnaround Backward Slam. Remember that single hard-hitting move on X plus A, the strongest hit for the Hunting Horn? Notice how by default it swings backwards, which, if the monster is in front of you, is a little inconvenient, right? Well, Q-tabs is a technique where you can run to the monster, and just before you hit it, you turn around, let go of your input, and press X plus A, thus putting your back to the monster and seeing the horn swing right into their face. It's important that you let go of the input, otherwise it will come out as an overhead smash or a melodic slap, depending on what you have selected. But if you play this out slowly, it's run up, turn around, let go of inputs, X plus A, and from there you can continue with the X plus A combo. Furthermore, during the double swing, if you input a direction, when you come out the swing, you'll be facing that way. So during this Q-tabs combo, you can turn your back, land the first hit, then continue pressing X plus A whilst pushing your analog stick in the direction you wish to face. Doing so will then see your moves line up nicely, and you'll dish out some big damage in the process. Then finally, your last move, the Silk Bind move that you can't change, is the Slide Beat. This move sees you Y-bug across the ground, perform a recital and an attack at the end, and in doing so you also build the Infernal Melody bar pretty quickly. And this has some iframes, so this can also be used to dodge some attacks. However, there's also another interesting thing to note about this move. If you're in the performance, aka the battle mode, then at the end, irrespective of what's on your stave, it will simply play self-improvement for you, nothing else. So it's used more evasively or as an attack to build Infernal Melody. Meanwhile, if you're in echo mode, aka old school mode, and you have some notes queued up on the stave, Slide Beat will then, upon completion, not only play self-improvement, but it will also play all the notes, and by extension all the songs, on the stave. In essence, this becomes a recital in itself, since this style is all about manual recitals. So you can do a quick 1-2-3 combo, go into Slide Beats, and you've played all your songs very quickly. So this can also be a nice alternative option. Also, keep in mind that most of your Hunting Horn attacks can be rolled out of, and since some of the heavier hitting moves have slow ending lag, you want to get into the habit of rolling out to just avoid sitting there and waiting to be hit. Either that, or just go into another recital and breakdance your way to victory, or even use a Silk Bind move to cancel the ending animation. But that is pretty much it for the Hunting Horn moves. As mentioned, the Rise iteration is more streamlined and simplified, so the concept of, say, encoring songs for increased buffs is gone from old. So too is the Flourish move, where you used to be able to sneak in extra notes mid-double swing. But given the ease at which you can now play songs, that honestly isn't a huge loss. As you can now begin to see though, it is easier than ever to just dive into combat, buff up your whole squad, and just dish out some incredible damage. So, now that we've covered all the moves, let's talk about some of the recommended combos. Do keep in mind that the combos you will use vary depending on your opening. Some of your bigger, heavier hitting combos are great, but if the time commitment is too large, then they will serve very little value if you only have, say, a 2-second window. So in this section, we'll cover a number of available options for various different openings and scenarios. First up, one of your quickest, safest, and easiest combos is performed in performance style, and it is ZR-A. That's it. 2 inputs, doesn't sound that amazing, right? Well, this move firstly takes advantage of the fact that your recital in performance mode has iframes, so it is a great combo to do into incoming attacks. Furthermore, since this hits multiple times, it's also fantastic at building your Infernal Melody meter. Outside of the Slide Beat Silk Bind move, it is one of the fastest and easiest ways to build it. And you can also continually reposition by inputting a direction during the combo, so this is good, quick damage for almost any opening. Following on from there, we have our meaty, quick turnaround combo, which we spoke about a moment ago. Again, this will hinge on having the overhead smash switch skill selected. Going into this and the full X plus A combo does good damage and naturally has good stun and exhaust potential. Of course, if you happen to be more KO focused, you can still perform this with the melodic slap. Just keep in mind the damage output will be lower, but your KO potential will be higher. Of course, if you have Infernal Melody filled up, and the notes lined up, then Magnificent Trio into Infernal Melody alone is a powerful combo for a decent medium window. However, in the event the monster is down, then you really want to tie this all together into a longer combo. So in the event you want a quick combo that lets you get to Magnificent Trio fast, then forward X plus A, X, followed by ZR plus X, and then the final ZR. This will put 3 notes on the stave very quickly, opening up the Magnificent Trio. The damage is lower, but the speed to the end is much quicker. Meanwhile, if you have a much bigger opening, then your big damage combo instead is forward X, X plus A, followed by the Magnificent Trio into the Infernal Melody. This does a series of powerful attacks, again putting 3 notes on the stave, in turn opening up for you to end with the Magnificent Trio Infernal Melody combo. All of those are of course powerful options in their own right, and they all offer you some great options in different windows, so give those combos a try on your next hunt. So now that we've gone through all of your switch skills, moves, and recommended combos, the question remains which switch skills are right for you. Ultimately, the best ones are the ones that you're going to enjoy the most. However, there are some definite picks that I think stand out above the rest. In your first slot, if your primary focus is damage, then there is no beating the overhead smash. It does hands down more damage, and while the stun value on Melodic Slap is higher, you're also using a blunt type weapon, so all your hits have the capacity to stun, and with that in mind, I don't feel like it's worth sacrificing the damage for one very specific move with more stun potential when, let's be honest, you're going to be getting KOs anyway. As for your second slot, honestly, the new performance mode, aka battle style, just seems to have the edge, but it's not by much. They both have the exact same combos and the exact same damage potential, so no one style is weaker per se, but the battle style has the iframes on recital, and the added benefit that you autoplay songs while attacking. I would say if you really like playing support and you want a bit more manual control over your notes, and in select situations you want to play songs a little bit faster, then Echo does have some value, but for the most part I would recommend performance mode since it offers you everything in one complete package. And then finally, for your Silkbind choice, it's really hard to beat Earthshaker. It's such a strong move with incredible flinch potential too. The Bead of Resonance is nice, however, from a support perspective, especially if you want to double up some of those single-use songs. It definitely has some great utility. Plus, the added bonus of allowing any horn to have attack up is pretty huge. But for me, I just really like the damage output from Earthshaker, so that is my personal pick for this slot. Again, there is no right or wrong choice, just run with whatever you enjoy, but if you want some suggestions, then that is what I personally run with. Now that we've covered all of your moves, the last thing you need to absolutely master this weapon is a good armor set. So when it comes to making your mix sets, here are some armor skills that are definitely worth considering. The first set of skills are skills that, in truth, pretty much all weapons can benefit from, and that's your typical damage focused stack. Skills like Attack Boost, Agitator, Peak Performance, Crit Boost, Weakness Exploit, Latent Power, even Maximum Might, although keep in mind the Hunting Horn is a slower attacking weapon, so you benefit much greater from raw damage increases than you do from, say, crit focused skills. Outside of that, a few specific suggestions would be things like Slugger, Stamina Thief, and Part Breaker. The Hunting Horn is a KO god, and is also fantastic at breaking parts, faces, horns, wings, etc., so sneaking these into the mix is always handy. Since you tend to roll quite a lot with the Hunting Horn to get out of your attack animations, Evade Extender actually works pretty nicely on this weapon. And then finally, a must-have skill for the weapon is Horn Maestro. This actually behaves differently in Rise. It no longer increases the duration or the effectiveness of your buffs. Instead, Horn Maestro makes your recitals faster and also boosts the damage of Shockwave attacks, so either horns with the Shockwave song, or moves like Earthshaker, Bead of Resonance, or Slide Beats. They all benefit from this too, and since it is only a 1-point skill, this is something that every Hunting Horn user should have. So now that we've gone over all of your basic moves, your switch skills, armor skill recommendations, even suggested combos, now it's time to tie it all together with a quick sample hunt. We're fighting against a high rank Rathian. Rathian is going to become the punching bag mascot for the workshops. It is an incredibly telegraphed monster, not hugely challenging, but it is great from a demonstration point of view, and the idea of this section of the video is to just take some of the stuff that we've spoken about in training and just show it to you in action. So I'm going to cut together a few different clips. This won't be the entire hunt because the video is already pretty long, so let's get started. First things first, of course, jumping straight into combat. We can hit Rathian and we know that pretty much off the bat she is going to roar, which obviously gives a nice chance to use the recital. That will of course proc self-improvement, which we always want to maintain with the Hunting Horn. Plus, because it's got the iframe, since we're playing in performance style, it also means we get a free dodge there. You can also use that dodge to avoid the incoming tail swipe. And keep in mind, early on, using the recital A attack combo is great at building the Infernal Melody, where right at the beginning of the fight, and I've already got that meter half built, so it's a fantastic way to build it. In that situation, of course, Slide Beat is another great move for building this, so already we are very near to having not only Magnificent Trio lined up, but also the Infernal Melody. Following on from there, of course, we're going to get a nice little KO here, and given that it is a KO, we do have a decent opening, so we can go into that stronger combo we spoke about before for that kind of big attack damage, and then round it out with the Magnificent Trio into the Infernal Melody. If we then jump forward to another clip, in this situation, you can of course see that, we want to make sure we're still using this, recital combo to build up that meter when we can. Again, we don't necessarily have huge openings here. Yes, we have come off the back of a Wyvern ride, so Rathian is somewhat pinned down, but not, completely. So there, again, by using that recital, we get that evade, we're able to dodge that tail swipe, which is kind of handy. And again, we've now maxed out the meter, which puts us in a good position when we want to use that shortly. Keep in mind, you're not going to just like use it at any moment. You do want to sort of make sure you've got your openings, but the fact that we've got that banked now does mean when the opportunity presents itself, we have another damaging combo lined up. Of course, in this situation, don't forget if you need to, you can draw straight into your recital. So again, you've basically got a guaranteed iframe evade at any point. But more importantly, in this situation, don't forget you can also cancel most of your moves into the slide beat. So I was about to get hit by a fireball there, and was able to go into slide beat. And also, it's worth noting you can add in the Infernal Melody at the end of slide beat, not just the Magnificent Trio. So that is also kind of handy if you want to get that Song of the Raging Flame buff straight away. After that, just a few more little sort of combat samples. You can of course see the the position for the turnaround backward smash, so we can use that strong heavy attack, and just kind of an opportunity to pull off some of those stronger hits. I'll leave a few more gameplay clips playing in the background, but for the time being, that is pretty much it for this workshop. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I really hope it's been helpful. If you have any questions, by all means let me know in the comments down below. Again, as mentioned earlier, there is a ton of work that's gone into these. We've spent many hours researching, testing, editing this together, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the series. I will of course say that if we have missed anything, or as the game releases and people start to get some more experience with the weapons and things do start to develop in the meta, if there's anything we haven't mentioned or anything that kind of comes to pass, then I will of course be following up with updated videos in the future. But for the time being, this should give you everything you need to know to get started with the hunting horn. If you want to catch more from us at Arekkz Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys 269, Paradise Central and Investmore streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below, and of course you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.